everybody. Today, we're going to be taking a mystical journey into Spanish history by interviewing King Alfonso X, also known as El Sabio, or the Wise, and the Path of Wisdom. Throughout this journey, we are going to be weaving in the magic of medieval Spain, Alfonso X's pursuit of knowledge, and the lasting impact of his legacy. For the magic of this interview to take place, I need to tie in the strands of time to link the past to the present. Buckle in, because this story is about to get pretty crazy. Last summer, I decided to clear out an overgrown area on my property with the intent of planting a beautiful garden on it. However, while I was clearing it out, I felt the ground beneath my feet start to give way, and a sinkhole opened up beneath my feet. Luckily, I was able to jump up on a rock as the earth collapsed in on itself. I scrambled out of the gully and away from the unstable ground as fast as I could, abandoning any hopes of a garden and just feeling fortunate to have survived a sinkhole literally opening up beneath my feet. Curiosity is a dangerous thing, and I felt the need to go back down there the next day to examine the newly formed sinkhole that had tried to devour me the day before. When I got close enough, I took my walking stick and poked it into the sinkhole to see how far it went down. It only went down about 2 feet before it hit something that sounded metal, and whatever was beyond was hollow, because it reverbed and echoed as if there was a chamber below. My mind raced. All I could think of was Oak Island and treasure. I called up some people I felt I could trust with the potential of buried treasure, and they arrived the next day with digging supplies. The first odd thing we ran into were the stones. They looked like they had been chiseled into shape. It looked like they had been stacked up and had collapsed. Once we got all the rocks cleared out, we hit a piece of metal. It was so rusted it literally just crumbled. The rocks around it were stained red from the iron leaching into them for so many years. There's one I call bleeding rock because it looks as if fresh blood had just seeped into his pores. Once we got the entrance cleared, we shined a light down into the hole. It looked like it opened up into a cavern. We grabbed a ladder, and my neighbor Dennis volunteered to go down into the hole to check it out. There was a long pause of silence before we heard him yell back up, "Guys, there's a dead body down here." We all looked at each other. The white chill of death hung in the air. "Get back up here," we exclaimed in a panic, as if the murderer was still lurking somewhere in the shadows. Dennis responds, hushing our concerns. "No, these bones look old." He gets a little closer. "It looks like a Spanish conquistador is still wearing its armor, and it's holding something shiny in one of its hands." His voice trails off. We yell back down, half joking to break the tension. "Don't touch it. That's how curses happen." Then there was a silence, so heavy I felt a pressure upon my chest. I let out my breath when I saw the light shining back towards the entrance. Dennis slowly climbed the ladder with a far-off, distant look in his eyes, as if he was in a trance. When he got back up, he carefully retrieved an object from his cargo pants pocket. Standing right in front of me, he said, "It said this is for you." I reached out my hand. A zap of static electricity discharged as he set what looked like an old polished mirror in my hand. "What do you mean it said this is for me?" He shook his head like he was trying to snap out of a daydream. I don't know, but I'm not going back down there. I say we close up the hole and pretend like none of this ever happened." I looked at the mirror. It felt cold and strangely heavy for how small it was. "Shouldn't we call the police?" I asked. "I mean, there is a dead body down there." Dennis was already walking away. Nobody should ever go back down in that hole. My husband cut a scrap piece of metal and hauled it down to cover up the hole. I went inside to put the mirror away. "It said it was for you," repeated over and over again in my mind. As I looked into the mirror, I did not see a reflection of myself. Instead, I felt like I was falling into a fog. I quickly put the mirror down, tucking it away under a bunch of clothes, hoping it would vanish into the realm of forgotten things. That was 8 months ago, and honestly, I'd mostly forgotten about it, except sometimes there's this weird humming sound at night. It doesn't happen that often, but I get these horrible migraines when it happens, and my son will wake up with nosebleeds. My husband doesn't notice it and tells me it's just the sound of the house settling, but I know it never made that sound before. So I decided to do some detective work into how a skeleton of a Spanish conquistador holding a mirror ended up in a hole in Tennessee. And this is what I found out. Apparently, Hernando de Soto did bring an expedition through this region in the 1500s. From journal accounts, there is talk about leaving treasure behind because it was too heavy to carry, but nothing referring to a mirror. It wasn't until this class assignment that the pieces lined up and fell into place in ways I could have never imagined. I chose Alfonso X because I liked his moniker, the Wise. I picked up our textbook, The Buried Mirror, as a starting point to begin researching about Alfonso X. I never realized how fascinating the history of Spain was. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm intrigued with the Spanish language because of Latin America and its indigenous cultures. I've always held I don't know, maybe a type of animosity towards Spain because the whole conquistador mishandling of the Americas. So I was shocked at discovering the multicultural influences that contribute to the fabric of Spain's complex history. Alfonso X was born in the enchanting historical city of Toledo on November 23rd, 1221, to Ferdinand III and Beatrice of Germany. According to regional folklore, Hercules founded Toledo as a center for learning and carved out the caves under the city that held ancient magic guarded by divine forces. Toledo had previously been under Islamic rule during its Golden Age and had amassed a large library of ancient works with accounts dating back to ancient Sumerian civilizations. Alfonso X grew up studying these ancient manuscripts and the Mirrors of Princes, a collection of literary wisdom from different cultures, including India, the Far East, Arabic, African, Roman, and medieval Europe. Alfonso X earned his title as the Wise because he was a scholar and curator of wisdom. He invested his resources in founding a school of translators, which welcomed the knowledge of Jewish, Muslim, and Christian scholars to translate and transcribe these ancient manuscripts into Castilian Spanish. This elevated the status and prestige of the Spanish language. His pursuit of knowledge fostered a multicultural exchange that transformed Castile into a flourishing center of intellectual learning. In addition to being known as the Wise, Alfonso X is also referred to as the astrologer. During the 13th century, astrology and astronomy were intertwined, and his fascination with the cosmos extended beyond scientific observation. The stars were heavenly guides, not just for navigation, but for human fate and destiny. Under his direction, Jewish scholars played a pivotal role in the research and development of the Alphonsine tables, which revolutionized astronomy in Europe. His contributions continue to remain foundational in the development of modern astronomy and a guiding force in astrology. During the Middle Ages, magic was intertwined with the fabric of society, and elements of the occult often intersected with intellectual and cultural life. King Alfonso X's School of Translators played a crucial role in preserving and compiling ancient knowledge, including the publication of the Picatrix, one of the most popular magical books of the era. However, King Alfonso X faced a moral and philosophical dilemma. He viewed astrology as a divine tool aligned with God's plan of the heavenly bodies, reflecting the natural order of the universe. In contrast, he condemned the prevalent practice of dark magic, often associated with witches and sorcerers, as a corrupting influence that brought harm to society. To address this, Alfonso X codified laws in Las Siete Partidas, a monumental legal book which standardized law and order to prohibit these harmful dark occult practices. This distinction underscored his efforts to balance faith, reason, and magic. Through these contributions, Alfonso X solidified his legacy as a wise and enlightened ruler, transforming Castilian Spanish into a language of intellectual and moral authority, making it a magical beacon of light during the Dark Ages. I spent days lost in ancient manuscripts, poring over the elaborately drawn illustrations in Alfonso X's amazing collection. I've always loved books, but these were next level amazing. There's this one illustration that is in the Mirrors of Princes that shows a prince staring into what I can't help but think looks a lot like the mirror I have tucked away. I can't get it out of my head. What if the Mirrors of Princes wasn't just a collection of literature, but literally some type of magical mirror? As soon as this idea crosses my mind, I feel this strange urge to check when the next planetary alignment is supposed to be. I looked it up, and today, February 28th, 2025, the planets are supposed to align in a planetary parade of 7 planets, an event that isn't going to happen again until 2040. I felt myself go pale. Tonight, it felt too soon. I thought about the story of the caves under Toledo and how the Visigoth kings had padlocked them for generations with a sign warning, "Do not enter if you fear death." I can't explain it, but it almost feels like there's this strange connection to Alfonso X. And if I want answers, the only way I'm going to get them is if I go into the cave alone tonight with the mirror. I laid in bed, pretending to be asleep, waiting for the familiar sounds of snoring before I quietly crept out of bed, grabbing the mirror and a flashlight. Outside, the stars seemed brighter than usual. Venus appeared just above the tree line as I headed down into the overgrown gully. A cold breeze washed over me as I slid the scrap piece of metal off the hole. I took a deep breath and started my descent into the unknown. My body started uncontrollably shaking. I felt death at my back and quickly turned my flashlight towards its direction. Nothing. I shined the light around the chamber, looking for the skeleton that Dennis said was down here. The chamber was about 16 feet across and narrowed towards a labyrinth of nooks and crannies. There was a pathway that extended beyond, but this chamber was empty. No bones, no bodies, just rocks. The thought crossed my mind that Dennis was just messing with me, but I figured I was already here, so I might as well look into the mirror. I took the mirror out and stared into it. No reflection, just darkness. I tilted it up to catch the light from above, and the mirror starts to fog up. And then I feel like I'm falling. I jerk out of it, like I had just woken up from a falling dream. But somehow, I'm neither here nor there. Instead, I'm in a type of fog. Hello? Alfonso the Wise? Are you here?
Mi nieta, granddaughter, I have been waiting for you.
Oh, I think you have me mistaken. I'm not your granddaughter.
That mirror is a talisman, and it called out to you because you are one of my direct descendants.
No, that can't be.
Deny it all you like, but it does not change what is true. Awareness can be attained in many ways. Some paths tie the present to the past.
Where are we right now?
You have entered into the ether.
What is the ether?
The ether is a static medium to which all celestial beings return.
What is the significance of planetary alignments?
There is energy in the convergence of planetary forces. Revelation of the Creator is revealed through awareness of creation and its composition. The mind is but a shell for the light from which the mind evolved. The light is the primordial source of the whole mind.
Why are mirrors so important?
We are a microcosm confined in a larger world, reflecting it in form and content. Through reflection, we can perceive what cannot be physically seen.
What type of magic lets us hold that kind of reflection?
Imagination is the most powerful force the mind holds. If one develops this magic force, it does not matter if you are asleep or awake. The mind becomes like the mirror you hold, reflecting one's mental perception. It is through this type of awareness that one becomes wise.
Can you tell me more about what defines wisdom?
Wisdom has distinct subjective characteristics. It grows and never vanishes. Each level leads way to another, adding layers of complexity to one's understanding. However, the path of wisdom is never easy. It is paved with mistakes. Wisdom does not seek anyone who is not interested in it. However, once the spark has been lit, it has a magnetism that can never be extinguished.
Can you tell me more about magic?
Hey, magic is absolutely everything that fascinates the mind and attracts the soul. It is this intrigue and attraction that draws us in. However, magic is difficult for the mind to perceive, so it feels veiled and confusing. That is because there is a divine force associated with advanced reasons for the purpose of understanding it. Magic is reason and imagination coexisting together in harmony. It is time for you to return the mirror.
But what if I need to ask you more questions?
You never needed the talisman. I have always been a part of you.
All of a sudden, the ether dissolved, and the cold, pale, bony hand of a Spanish conquistador rested upon my shoulder. It felt as if death itself was trying to comfort me. I wiped the tears from my eyes and turned to face it, with neither fear nor animosity lingering in my soul. I knew it was time to return the buried mirror. I placed the mirror in the skeleton's extended hands, and we both turned and went our separate ways, the past receding into the darkness, and the present stepping out into the starlit night. I carefully covered the hole, erasing the evidence of my descent into the unknown. Back inside, I kept the lights turned off as I softly tiptoed to the computer and logged into my family search genealogy account. I typed in Alfonso X and held my breath as I clicked the button. A long pedigree chart immediately popped up. Alfonso X is your 23rd great-grandfather. Direct link. It's crazy that a class assignment connected me to a time and place through a person I'd never heard of before, only to reveal that we are all more connected than we realize. And there's a little bit of magic in all of us. Till we meet again, this is Faith Disciples, signing off.